Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was taped from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. They taped this show last week before, last week's Raw went live. And the only reason why they end up taping the show is because the superstars are overseas in the UK. They're doing the UK tour. But if you missed Monday Night Raw tonight, you missed absolutely nothing. This show was a complete throwaway show. It was awful, in my opinion. Yes, with it being a tape show. But tonight on Monday Night Raw, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line, where Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defend the titles against Damage Control, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. We had the Viking Raiders. They end up returning tonight, but they are now known as the War Raiders. Their original name when they were down in NXT. So it's good that they got back their original name in the War Raiders. But they have taken on Otis and Akira Tozawa. This was a first round match in the World Tag Team Championship tournament. I don't understand why we are getting a tournament for the World Tag Team Championship for, the next, tag team to face, JD McDonough and Finn Balor. Now we have Bron Breakker. He was in action. He had taken on Kofi Kingston. And we also had R-Truth versus The Miz. And the main event, we had Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. But overall, Monday Night Raw, this show was an absolute throwaway show, in my opinion. But before I get to the review, just want to let you all know that tomorrow is my birthday. So, not doing anything for my birthday. I was going to do a little birthday stream, but I'll put that off. But if you want to, give me a birthday comment down in the comments down below, I would very appreciate it. I would thank you all. So I am grateful for you guys that take the time and watch my videos and subscribe to me. You guys are awesome. So yeah, just want to let you all know. Tomorrow's my birthday, turning 33. So, but we'll enjoy the day tomorrow for myself. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley ended up walking backstage, and she ended up walking through the tunnel to gorilla position. And she walked through the curtain and made her entrance. And Rhea Ripley looked very serious as she headed to the ring. And of course, they ended up playing a replay of what happened at Bad Blood, where Raquel Rodriguez ended up returning, and she attacked Rhea Ripley and cost Rhea the Women's World Championship. And then they ended up playing what we saw on SmackDown on Friday, where Rhea Ripley ended up attacking Raquel Rodriguez before Rhea ended up taking it to Liv Morgan. So Rhea Ripley got on the mic. She ended up saying that she is not done with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. She ended up going on to say that this doesn't end until she gets back the one thing she never lost, and that is the Women's World Championship. So Rhea ended up saying that if Liv and Raquel are done running, they can come to the ring so she can whoop their asses. So Rhea ended up calling out both Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. But she didn't get Liv Morgan or Raquel Rodriguez. She got Miss Money in the Bank herself, Tiffany Stratton. So Stratton ended up heading out to the ring. It was Tiffy time. I know a lot of you will probably say, oh, why was Tiffany Stratton on Monday Night Raw? Isn't she a SmackDown superstar? But we all know why Tiffany Stratton's there. Obviously, Nia Jax was, looming there. Because if Stratton was present, you know that Nia Jax was also there as well, which I will get to explaining later on. So Stratton ended up heading down to the ring. She got on the mic. She ended up saying that she knows she isn't who Rhea was expecting. Stratton ended up saying that she is here because she has a very important message from Nia Jax. So Stratton ended up saying that Nia Jax warns Rhea to stay out of her business, or else she'll have a big problem. So Rhea ended up saying that she understands Stratton, thinks it's Tiffy time, but it's not. So Rhea was like, oh, well, I don't have time for any of this. She ended up saying either she gets her hands on both Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, or she can welcome Stratton back to Monday Night Raw her way. So Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton, they were, shoving each other. And Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez end up attacking Rhea and Stratton from behind. Raquel ended up slamming Stratton down, and she ended up slinging Rhea down, and then she laid out Rhea with a big boot. Liv Morgan then grabbed the Money in the Bank briefcase, and she smashed the briefcase off of Stratton's back. So then we saw Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez stood tall in the ring, and that was how the segment ended. Overall, awful segment this was to open a taped Monday Night Raw. This furthered nothing. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was texting backstage, and Rhea Ripley walked up to Pearce. Rhea ended up saying that to Pearce that she wants Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So Adam Pearce was like to Rhea Ripley, well, it's done. But you need to have a partner. And Rhea was not happy about that. She didn't want no partner. She wanted to face Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez on her own. So Tiffany Stratton walked up. And she was upset with how the way she was treated in the opening segment. So Adam Pearce ended up staring at Tiffany Stratton. And then he looked at Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley ended up sighing. And we had Rhea Ripley end up agreeing that Stratton should be her partner. So Stratton was all confused. And Adam Pearce was like, oh, she'll figure it out soon enough. And then that was that. So Tiffany Stratton and Rhea Ripley teamed up later on to face Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They pulled the can they coexist? So then we had the first match of the night. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They ended up facing Io Sky and Kairi Sane, Damage Control. This is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. And we had Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. They were watching from ringside. Of course, we saw, Friday on SmackDown where Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill end up defeating Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson on SmackDown to retain the Women's Tag Team Championship. But this was a decent match here between these women. Jade Cargill started off the match against Io Sky. Both women ended up blocking up. Cargill powered Io Sky down. Io Sky ended up hooking a side headlock on Cargill, but Cargill ended up pushing Sky off. Io ended up cartwheeling around Cargill, and she delivered a drop kick. Cargill ended up staying on her feet, and she shoulder tackled Io down. Bianca Belair then tagged in, and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill ended up both sending Io into the ropes, and Bianca and Cargill ended up hitting a double team slam to Io. So Bianca ended up going for the cover, and Io kicked out. Io ended up backing into the corner. Bianca ended up hitting some shoulder thrust to Io. Bianca then picked up Io, and she started walking around. Io ended up going for a roll-up, but Bianca ended up powering Io up. Kairi Sane then blind tagged in. Io ended up sweeping Bianca's feet, and Kairi Sane ended up stomping on Bianca's back. So damage control, Io and Kairi ended up hitting Bianca with some stereo drop kicks. Kairi ended up knocking Cargill off the apron. Io ended up going for a baseball slide, but Cargill ended up avoiding that, and she delivered a super kick to Io. Kairi then ended up coming off the top rope with a crossbody block to the floor on Cargill. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Io was in control of the match. She ended up applying a crossface to Bianca. Bianca ended up rolling Io over, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Io ended up kicking out. Io ended up hitting some uppercuts to Bianca, and she rolled Bianca up, and she ended up popping up, and she ended up hitting a double stomp to Bianca's midsection. Io ended up hooking Bianca's arms, but Bianca ended up powering Io up. Io flipped through and landed on her feet, but Bianca ended up quickly taking Io down with a spear, which that led to both Cargill and Kairi Sane end up tagging in. So Cargill and Kairi Sane end up going out of here. Kairi Sane ended up avoiding a big boot from Cargill, and she connected with a strike combo on Cargill. Cargill quickly ended up powering Kairi up, but Kairi ended up countering into a sleeper hold on Cargill. Cargill ended up managing to sling Kairi off. Kairi ended up getting up in the corner. Cargill ended up charging at Kairi, but Kairi ended up booting Cargill back. Kairi ended up going to the second rope. She dove off the second rope, but she ended up getting caught by Cargill, and Cargill ended up hitting a backbreaker to Kairi. Cargill connected with a powerbomb to Kairi. She ended up going for the cover, but Io broke up the pin. Bianca ended up running in, and she threw Io out of the ring. Bianca ended up going to her corner, and she ended up tagging in. Cargill ended up going to give Bianca a Dominator onto Kairi, but Kairi ended up moving out of the way. Kairi ended up getting Cargill out of the ring and tagged Io in. Io ended up connected with a springboard missile dropkick on Cargill. Io ended up popping Kairi Sane up for an elbow drop on Bianca. So Io ended up going for the cover, and Bianca ended up kicking out. So at the end of the match, we had Bianca ended up pulling Io into the ring in a vertical suplex position, but she ended up transitioning that into the KOD on Io. So Bianca ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair ended up winning the match, and they retained the Women's Tag Team Championship. Post-match, Damage Control was furious with both Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson because during the match, we had Cargill and Bianca end up slinging Kairi Sane into the barricade, and they got into Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson's faces. So Io ended up getting Bianca in the ring, and she started yelling at both Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. So pretty much that was that. Overall, decent match it was. And then we saw Finn Balor and Jade McDonough. Both Balor and McDonough walked up to Adam Pearce. Balor ended up saying to Pearce, that he wants to know when he'll get a rematch against Damian Priest. Pearce ended up saying to Balor that they have an obligation to the titles that they hold. Balor and McDonough holding the World Tag Team Championship. So Pearce ended up letting them off the hook as Balor ended up dealing with Damian Priest. But he ended up saying that is over. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that he's setting up a tournament to determine the next competitors. So Pearce ended up walking off. Liv Morgan, Dominic, and Carlito end up walking up to McDonough and Balor. Balor was not happy with what Pierce ended up saying about how he has set up a tournament to determine Balor and McDonough's next competitors. So Liv Morgan ended up saying that they can focus on keeping their championships. Liv Morgan ended up introducing the guys to Raquel Rodriguez. And Carlito was just blown away by Raquel Rodriguez. Ended up taking a liking to Raquel. So that was basically that. But why do we need a tournament to determine who will face Balor and McDonough for the titles? Why? We don't need a tournament. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had a promo from American Made. Chad Gable, the Creed Brothers, and Ivy Nile. Chad Gable ended up saying that he defines greatness. Ivy Nile ended up saying that this is the land of opportunity, and everyone has the opportunity to get their teeth kicked in by these great athletes. So Chad Gable ended up saying that the country needs a hero, and it's his pleasure to let the people know that will be that for them. He ended up saying that they will show the world what it means to be American made. So, pretty decent promo from American Made. And then it cut to a promo from Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker ended up saying that everyone has wondered why he turned his back on Mr. Yeet, Jey Uso. He ended up saying that it's not that complicated. He ended up saying that Jey lucked into the biggest lottery of his life when he beat him for the Intercontinental Championship. Breakker ended up saying, out of respect, he came to the ring and shook Jay's hand before congratulating him. He ended up saying Jay then threw it back in his face as if he would see it. Braun ended up saying not once did Jay say he respects him as a man or a champion. He ended up saying maybe one day Jay can be the caliber of champion he was, which Jay cannot be. Breakker ended up saying that he doesn't need his family's help. He ended up saying when he surpasses them in success, he will get respect from his family. And that won't be like Jay. He ended up saying that Jay has sucked off his family's legacy for 14 years. He ended up saying once his cousin was at the top of the mountain, he wanted to do it on his own. Breakker ended up saying that if Jay wants to do it on his own, he'll take this ass kicking on his own as well. Breakker ended up saying that he's coming back for the Intercontinental Championship. And the beautiful thing is, Jay's family cannot save him from Bron Breakker. So, another, decent promo from Bron Breakker here. Bron Breakker wants to come back and get the Intercontinental Championship again. And then we had Adam Pearce and Bronson Reed. And this was a little interview that was conducted last Saturday. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that he appreciates Reed's time. Reed ended up saying to Adam Pearce that he wants to talk business. Pearce ended up saying that Reed has made a name for himself in a short amount of time. He ended up saying that he's given everyone a lot of leeway. But what him and Braun Strowman did with refs and fans was over the line. Reed ended up apologizing to Pearce if his actions crossed the line, but no one could stop him in a match like that. Reed ended up saying that if it weren't for Seth Rollins, he'd be the last monster standing. So Reed was like to Pearce, oh, when am I getting my match with Rollins? Pearce ended up saying to Reed that he's not even thinking about that until they're on the same page. Reed ended up saying that all the destruction he's caused has been done to get him to the main event. So we had Pearce end up saying, is that the sort of ambition that he wants from his superstar? So Reed ended up saying that he wants a spotlight and a match with Rollins to show that he's the top guy in the company. Pearce ended up saying that he doesn't believe there won't be any trouble. He ended up saying to Reed if they're on the same page, he will talk to Rollins. Reed ended up saying that Pierce is a smarter businessman than he thought. Pierce ended up saying that they'll talk soon. And Reed ended up warning Pierce not to make him wait too long. So, pretty much, that was basically that. Little sit-down interview with Pierce and Bronson Reed. Pierce wanted to know if him and Reed are on the same page. So Bronson Reed will get his match against Seth Rollins. That'll be coming. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the first round match in the World Tag Team Championship Tournament. The Alpha Academy, Otis and Akira Tozawa, they have taken on the return of the War Raiders, formerly known as the Viking Raiders. I am really happy that they gave Eric and Ivar their original team name back in the War Raiders, which they were called that down in NXT, and they end up bringing back their original NXT theme, which that was awesome to hear. But this match was just in my opinion. If you said the War Raiders won the match, ding ding ding, you are right. This was just a momentum match for the War Raiders in their return. Did you really think that they were going to make the War Raiders lose in their first match, coming back? So, War Raiders end up winning. Eric picked Tozawa up and threw him into Ivar's path for a splash, which, is called the Fallout. So the War Raiders picked up the win. So the War Raiders are advancing in this World Tag Team Championship Tournament that we don't need. So it's good to see Eric and Ivar back. So they took a little time off. It's good to have the War Raiders name back for Eric and Ivar. And then we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce walked up to Seth Rollins. Rollins ended up asking Pearce if he's got the match with Bronson Reed. Pearce ended up saying that he's apprehensive. He ended up saying that Rollins has had 6 matches this year and has been injured for all of them. Rollins ended up saying to Pearce that injuries happen and are a part of the game. He ended up saying to Pearce, you fight through the injuries to get to the top. So Rollins ended up saying that he is there. He ended up saying upstarts like Rhea will try to make a name off your name when you get to that point. Rollins ended up saying that there is a reason he runs this place, and is at the top of the food chain. So Rollins ended up saying that he slayed beasts, he conquered kings, and hunting a monster sounds nice. So Rollins ended up saying that he needs this fight, and he needs people like Reed to bring out the best in him. He ended up saying that keeps him sharp and at the top. He ended up saying to Pearce that Reed tried to ruin his life, but he needs this fight. So Rollins was like to Pearce, if he wants the best version of Seth Rollins for the show, he needs this fight. So Rollins ended up walking off, and that was basically that. Then we had Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes made his way to the ring. Of course, he's the undisputed WWE Champion. Everybody got in their whoas there. So Rhodes ended up coming out. He ended up shaking hands with fans in the crowd. He shook hands with both Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore. So Cody ended up shouting a greeting to everyone in attendance. He ended up saying, to know where you're going, you must know where you've been. He ended up saying, as much as he considers himself the future, he considers himself a sports entertainment traditionalist. So Cody ended up saying that he is happy to be in the city with such rich professional wrestling roots. He ended up saying, whether it was Sam Merchnick at the Kell Auditorium or right here on Monday Night Raw, it's history. Cody was then like, oh, there has been some more recent history. He ended up saying not too long ago, something very special happened in his building. And it generally changed his life for the better. So we had the fans end up chanting, "We want Cody." So Cody ended up saying that chant was heard for the first time here. He ended up saying someone will call him a politician for doing so, but there's nothing political about this. And Cody ended up thanking the crowd for doing that. So that led the crowd to cheering for Cody. And then Cody ended up going into a shtick, what do you want to talk about? So then he got interrupted by Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther headed to the ring. Gunther got on the mic. He ended up saying that he'd usually come out and dress his opponent down a bit. He ended up saying that there's not much negative to say about Cody. Gunther ended up saying, in fact, this company, this business, and this sport are in a boom period like never before. And it's all built off of Cody's back. Gunther ended up saying that Cody makes every town, country, and continent. He ended up saying that Cody is truly the quarterback of this organization. Gunther ended up saying that he doesn't respect many people in the company, but he respects Cody. So we had Gunther ended up saying that if he thinks about it, there might be one thing. Cody loves being everyone's darling. He ended up saying because of that, he's in a mess with his old friend, Kevin Owens. He ended up saying that Owens realizes everybody's friend is no one's real friend. And Gunther ended up telling Cody to sort out his emotional mess because he wants the best version of Cody in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel. So Cody ended up saying what Gunther thinks is his greatest weakness is his greatest strength. He ended up saying friends do not surround him. And Cody ended up saying that if he can make an observation from one champion to another, he's seen what happens when the ring general throws everything at his opponent. And they keep coming back. Cody ended up saying that he's seen it firsthand, as Gunther was starting to get a little uncomfortable with what Cody said there. Cody ended up saying that he saw it at WrestleMania. Cody ended up saying that he can return some of the things Gunther said about him regarding being a workhorse. Cody then ended up saying that he respects Gunther. He ended up saying that Gunther thinks he's swimming in the deep end, but his feet still touch the bottom. He ended up saying that Gunther has never been in the ring with him. So Gunther ended up saying that that was spoken like a true secondary champion. Cody ended up saying that he was expecting the dig. And Cody ended up warning Gunther not to forget that he beat the most dominant champion in company history and has already slain a frightening beast. Cody then dropped the mic and he was looking for a handshake from Gunther. Gunther then ended up shaking Cody's hand and he wished him luck. And Gunther ended up walking off. And pretty much that was basically that. Overall, it was a enjoyable segment here. You have Cody Rhodes and Gunther in the ring. Cody Rhodes has never faced Gunther before. So that's one match that I would like to see, Cody Rhodes and Gunther going at it. And then we saw a recap of when Jade defeated Xavier Woods last week on Monday Night Raw to retain the Intercontinental Championship. And you have Bron Breakker end up attacking Jay from behind, and Kofi tried to help, but Xavier Woods didn't want to help. Kofi and Jay. So Breakker took out Kofi and Xavier Woods, and it showed a little bit what happened later on, where the tension between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods continued. So we ended up seeing that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had a video promo from Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee ended up saying that his journey in the company hasn't been easy, but he's becoming stronger wiser, and better than before. He ended up saying that he's capable of exceeding his greatest expectations. He ended up saying that his heroes look at him as an equal. Dragon Lee ended up saying that he belongs, and that the sky is his limit. Dragon Lee ended up saying that he is destined to thrive. So that was what Dragon Lee had to say. Then we got Kofi Kingston. He ended up taking on Bron Breakker, and this was an enjoyable match here. Match ended up getting on the way. Kofi ended up drop kicking Bron Breakker to the corner. Kofi started punching away at Breakker. Kofi ended up breaking away from the ref, and he avalanched Breakker. Kofi hit the ropes, but Breakker ended up shoulder tackling Kofi down. Breakker then whipped Kofi hard into the corner. Breakker then lifted up Kofi, and he put Kofi in the corner. Breakker then started punching Kofi hard in his midsection. Kofi then stumbled into the opposite corner. Breakker then ended up hitting a hard Irish whip into the opposite corner to Kofi, and Kofi collapsed to the canvas. Breakker ended up going for another Irish whip into the corner, but Kofi springboarded off the middle rope, and he delivered a drop kick to Breakker. Kofi then dropped down, and he leapfrogged Bron Breakker, but Breakker ended up quickly running Kofi over with a shoulder tackle. Breakker then shoved Kofi out of the ring, and that was how Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Breakker was in control of the match. He ended up applying a rear chinlock to Kofi. Kofi then ended up fighting up. He started punching out of the chinlock that was locked in on Breakker. Breakker ended up grabbing Kofi by his hair and started punching him in the back of his head. So Breakker then ended up hitting the ring post because Breakker ended up charging at Kofi. Kofi sidestepped, and Breakker ended up going shoulder first into the ring post. Breakker ended up slowly getting up. Kofi ended up hitting Breakker with a pair of chops, and he followed up with a drop kick that took Breakker down. Breakker avoided a leaping clothesline from Kofi, and he ended up going for an attack on Kofi, but Kofi ended up getting out of the way. Kofi ended up coming off the top rope with a springboard crossbody block to Breakker. He ended up going for the cover, to which Breakker kicked out. So we had Kofi end up kicking Breakker in his chest. He hit the boom drop on Breakker. So Breakker ended up avoiding the trouble in paradise from Kofi. Kofi ended up flipping through a German suplex from Breakker, and he delivered the SOS. Kofi ended up going for the cover. Breakker ended up kicking out. So we had Kofi ended up stunning Breakker with a pendulum kick in the corner. Kofi ended up coming off the top rope, but Breakker ended up catching Kofi. And Breakker ended up hitting an overhead belly-to-belly suplex to Kofi. So Breakker then pulled his straps down. He then hit the ropes and delivered a spear to Kofi. Breakker ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Bron Breakker ended up winning the match. Post-match, Bron ended up going back to get Kofi, but Xavier Woods ended up running down. Breakker then backed off, and he left the ring. Woods then went to check on his buddy Kofi, but Breakker ended up attacking Woods from behind. And that led to Jey Uso end up running down. Jay then super kicked Breakker. Jay then hit the ropes, and he hit Breakker with a spear. Jay then stood tall in the ring as Breakker retreated up the aisleway. Jay then ended up checking on Kofi. He ended up running over to super kick Breakker off the apron, and pretty much that was basically that. Jay let out a big yeet, and then he started celebrating with Kofi, and Xavier Woods wasn't even celebrating. He wasn't too keen on celebrating with that. But overall, enjoyable match between Bron Breakker and Kofi Kingston. And then we saw Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley was warming up backstage, and Damian Priest ended up approaching Rhea. Priest ended up asking Rhea if she wants him to be out there for the matchup. Rhea ended up saying to Damian that it's fine. So Rhea ended up asking Priest if he's thought about what they talked about, to which Priest ended up saying that he's thought about it. Rhea ended up saying that he's run through everyone and took care of Balor. She ended up saying that it's time for him to get back his title. Priest ended up saying that if she has a beef with the Judgment Day, he has a beef with them. So we had Damian Priest end up saying that Rhea is right, though, and that it's time for him to get back to being champion. So both Rhea and Priest embraced each other. Priest ended up telling Rhea to handle those girls in Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So that was basically that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Jey Uso. Jey was walking backstage. Jey ended up entering his locker room to see his brother, Jimmy Uso, sitting there. So Jimmy ended up asking Jey for a second, but Jey ended up walking off on Jimmy. He hasn't forgotten what Jimmy did to him. And of course, they fought at WrestleMania, which that was the weakest match on the WrestleMania card, in my opinion. So remember on SmackDown on Friday, where Jimmy ended up saying to Roman, "Oh, we need help." So Jimmy ended up going to Raw to visit his brother Jey, and Jey wants nothing to do with Jimmy. And then we had R-Truth versus The Miz. This was fucking awful. R-Truth ended up getting the win because the final testament, we had Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Paul Ellering, and the Authors of Pain out there. And R-Truth used that distraction to roll The Miz up. So R-Truth ended up winning. What we did get was a screen glitch with the Wyatt 6 logo coming up there. So the Wyatt 6's next target looks to be The Miz. So we'll see what happens with that. But post-match, R-Truth ended up hugging The Miz and also the ref. R-Truth ended up rolling out of the ring. Karrion Kross fist bumped R-Truth. He was like, "Oh, what's up?" He fist bumped R-Truth. And then he had to tell the Authors of Pain to get him now. So the Authors of Pain shoved R-Truth into the ring. And Miz ended up hitting R-Truth with the Skull Crusher finale. And Miz looked over at the Final Testament. And Miz turned away from the Final Testament. And pretty much that was basically that. Overall, awful match. All it was R-Truth looking for a handshake from the Miz. Miz stared at Truth. Miz then shook hands with R-Truth. And R-Truth was thinking, "Oh, well, yeah, we're still cool. We're still cool, Miz." Yeah. That was basically this match. And then the Final Testament, distracting Miz and R-Truth, and that led to R-Truth getting the win. That's all that happened in this match here. Pointless and awful. So then we had Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso was looking around backstage for Jey. He then found Jey. So Jimmy was like, "Please, hear me. Hear what I got to say." So Jey ended up saying to Jimmy that he does not want to hear him out. So Jey ended up saying to his brother, "Get out of my face, man." Jey walked off, and Jimmy was not happy about that. So it was going to be hard for Jimmy to say to his brother that we need help when obviously you know that the Usos are going to be getting back together once Jey loses the title, the Intercontinental Championship. There's no way that they're going to get the Usos, back together without having Jey lose the title. First, Jay has to lose the Intercontinental Championship, and then we'll get the Usos reuniting together. But we all know Jay is the hottest thing going right now. Look how over Jay has been with the crowd, doing yeet, doing, that. We all love Jey Uso. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, they end up saying what we're going to see next week on Raw in Philadelphia from the Wells Fargo Center. So we're going to see Bron Breakker versus Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship. Also in the first round match in the World Tag Team Championship tournament, we're going to get the New Day versus the Authors of Pain. And also Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus American Made, also in the first round match of the World Tag Team Championship tournament. So there you go. That's all set for Monday Night Raw next week in Philadelphia. Main event. Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton teamed up to take on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They did the whole, can they coexist with Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton? And this was just very meh, in my opinion. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan started off the match. Liv Morgan ended up ducking a lockup from Rhea, and she ended up slapping Rhea in her face. Rhea then blocked a strike from Liv Morgan, and then she headbutted Liv Morgan in her chest. Rhea then slammed Liv Morgan on her face, and she delivered a basement dropkick. Rhea then stared at Raquel Rodriguez. She then charged at Liv Morgan, but Liv Morgan moved out of the way. Rhea ended up grabbing Liv Morgan, and she ended up lifting Liv up for a slam, but Liv Morgan ended up sliding off, and she quickly tagged in Raquel Rodriguez, which that led to Rhea Ripley screaming out to Liv Morgan, "Oh, you're pathetic." So Raquel slowly got into the ring, and she stared at Rhea Ripley. Both Rhea and Raquel circled the ring, and Tiffany Stratton blind tagged into the match, to which Rhea was not happy about that. So Stratton came into the ring. She did some handsprings and a kip up. Raquel grabbed Stratton, but Stratton ended up quickly getting Raquel out of the ring. Rhea then ended up going to attack Raquel, but Stratton was like, "No, stop. You are not legal." So that led to Liv Morgan end up tagging in as Stratton and Rhea Ripley were bickering on the outside. So Raquel lifted Liv Morgan up, and she powerbombed Liv Morgan over the top rope onto both Rhea and Stratton. And then you just hear Liv Morgan laughing. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial, which I gotta say, the commercials tonight, they weren't overabundance to the many commercials that we got last week on the show. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Liv Morgan ended up pinning Stratton with a vertical suplex and a basement dropkick. She ended up going for the cover, to which Stratton ended up kicking out. Liv Morgan ended up shoving Stratton into the corner and started stomping away at her. Liv Morgan ended up digging her foot into Stratton's neck, and she tagged in Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel whipped Liv Morgan into Stratton. Liv Morgan then ended up whipping Raquel Rodriguez into Stratton. Rodriguez then ended up hitting a vertical suplex, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Stratton ended up kicking out. So Rodriguez ended up punching Stratton down, and Rhea Ripley was disgusted with the performance from Tiffany Stratton here. So Raquel started punching Stratton down, and she ended up hitting a backbreaker to Stratton. So Raquel ended up stretching Stratton out over her knee. Stratton then ended up kneeing Raquel Rodriguez in the head to get out of that, but Raquel ended up soon taking Stratton down. Raquel ended up kneeing Stratton in the face, and she ended up going for the cover, to where Stratton kicked out. Stratton ended up getting out of a slam from Raquel, and she went for a tag. And somehow, Stratton missed the tag. So, we had Stratton finally made the tag to Rhea Ripley, and Raquel ended up tagging Liv Morgan. So, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan finally end up going at it a little bit. So, Rhea ended up taking it to Liv Morgan with some strikes and a clothesline. Rhea then ended up knocking Raquel off the apron. Liv Morgan ended up hitting a jawbreaker, and she ended up going for a springboard. But Rhea Ripley caught Liv, and she delivered a flapjack on Liv. Rhea ended up kneeing Liv in the face, and she hit the riptide. Rhea ended up going for the cover, but the pin got broken up by Raquel Rodriguez. So, at the end of the match, Stratton ended up going for the prettiest moonsault ever on Liv Morgan, but Liv moved out of the way. Rhea ended up going for a riptide on Raquel Rodriguez at ringside, but Nia Jax ended up attacking her from behind. And with that, the match ended in disqualification. Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton ended up winning the match. So, we had Nia Jax end up sending Raquel Rodriguez into the ring post-match. So, Rhea Ripley got into the ring, and she headbutted Nia Jax. Rhea then ended up lifting Nia Jax, but Liv Morgan ended up chop blocking Rhea's knee. Liv Morgan then ended up attacking Rhea and started clubbing away at her. Nia Jax grabbed Liv Morgan, and she ended up headbutting Liv Morgan, and she ended up picking up Liv Morgan and delivered the Samoan drop to Liv. Nia Jax then hit the ropes, and she ended up delivering a leg drop on Liv Morgan. Nia Jax pulled Liv Morgan to the corner. She climbed up to the second rope, and she hit the Annihilator on Liv Morgan. So this led to Nia Jax telling Tiffany Stratton to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase on Liv Morgan. So before it happened, we had Dominic end up run down. Dominic pulled Liv Morgan out of the ring, and so Dominic, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez retreated up the aisleway, and that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, very meh match this was, and this show tonight was just a throwaway show. If you didn't watch the show tonight, you missed absolutely nothing. Absolutely 100% nothing on this show. And it's bad enough that the crowd there had to sit through 4 hours of wrestling because they taped this show last week before last week's show went live. So 4 hours those fans had to sit there and watch, Raw. So, but overall, Monday Night Raw, awful show it was. Throwaway show. But anyway, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, I'll see you all later.